Hey everyone, it's Wolfgang. I want to talk about having an easy business that is low risk. So the first thing I'd like to say is there's a book called The E-Myth, Why Most Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. It's by Michael Gerber. It's been out for a while. If you read that book, you will learn insider secrets about having a successful business. A business that's successful is easy and it's low risk. If the business is not successful, it's hard and the risk is high. So you should start your journey by reading this book, The E-Myth, Why Most Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It. So if you were lucky enough to grow up in a family of entrepreneurs, you should still read that book. I grew up in a family of entrepreneurs. When I read this book, I think I was in college, knowing that I would be getting involved in business when I graduated. There was a lot of stuff I did not learn growing up in a family of entrepreneurs. I mean, a lot of stuff. It was pretty shocking. I don't hold it against my family for not explaining everything. I was a kid. I wasn't involved in the day-to-day operations of all the different parts of the business. And they probably didn't think that we'd want to know about it. I don't know what the backstory is, but there was a lot in this book that I learned that I had not learned growing up, even though my immediate family and my extended family when I was growing up were involved. They were entrepreneurs, starting and running their own businesses. Our whole family did. And this book, I learned so much from reading it that it was pretty shocking. So I would start there with The E-Myth by Michael Gerber. So franchising is a way to implement what Gerber talks about in this book. Franchising, especially a business format franchise, it's a turnkey operational design like the E-Myth talks about. And the benefit is you avoid the trial and error if you were to try to start your own business from scratch and you had no experience doing it. If you look at yesterday's video, I talked about buying an existing business. I talked about buying an existing business if you had never owned and operated a business before, that method. And I talked about a second method in yesterday's video about buying a business if you had some experience. So you might want to look at that also. But here I want to kind of talk about franchising because it's another way to have an easy business that's low risk. It's not perfect, but there's a lot of benefits to do this, and some members of my family actually did some franchising, so I'll talk about that as we go along here. To start with, though, we've all heard of Walmart. Sam Walton was a Ben Franklin franchisee first, before he started Walmart. He learned how to operate, manage inventory, choose locations. He learned about hiring, how to price before starting Walmart. So he was able to acquire a business format knowledge base working at Ben Franklin as a Ben Franklin franchisee. And then he just started his own business after learning by owning a franchise. The Home Depot founders got their experience, their operational experience and knowledge base working at Handy Dan Home Improvement in California. Walmart is huge. Home Depot is huge. Both of these founders started, they didn't start from scratch. They operated a business that was already successful. They didn't have to figure out how to make a business successful from scratch. They walked into a business that was already succeeding. All they had to do was learn how it was operating, and then they just copied it in their own business. That's the cool thing about franchising. And you don't have to buy a franchise and then do what Walton did and what the Home Depot founders did. You can decide, I'm going to buy one franchise unit. I'm just going to expand. I'll keep expanding. Members of our family did that. They bought an initial unit. It was a franchise restaurant. And then they expanded the number of units over the years. They had a lot of units, a lot of franchise units. So that's another option. Walton and the founders of Home Depot learned and then started their own game. So the bottom line is, learning how to operate from an existing business format that's already successful. In other words, you're not starting from scratch. That is a secret sauce to an easy business that's low risk, to a successful business. You can reinvent the wheel. You can start from scratch and do it kind of the hard way, the trial and error way. And that does work for some people. But the cool thing about buying a franchise unit is you avoid all that hassle. I'm going to explain how to raise money to be able to do this as we go along here. So, but first, how to get started if you want to go this route, like some members of my family did. You choose the type of business. If you choose a franchise restaurant, there's a lot of options. Wendy's, Subway, Burger King. There's a lot of different franchise restaurants. There are franchised personal services businesses. You should only do those, operate those in an upscale strip mall for traffic, for good traffic, for a good environment. Tax preparation, HR Block, Jackson Hewitt are franchises you can buy. If you decide to go the hair route, personal care, hair cutting, there's Great Clips, there's Supercuts, and other ones. And you have to pick your battles and choose the best franchises. And I'll give you some tips as we go through this. If you're into auto repair, there's Mako Body and Paint, there's Amco, there's a bunch of those. But the bottom line is you want to choose the type of business that appeals to you. And then you should join an online franchisee group before actually making the franchise purchase. Join an online franchisee group, join several, spend about 6 months interacting with everyone and on as many different franchisee groups as you can find to learn everything you can before you actually buy a franchise. So, the whole objective is to have a successful business because successful businesses are easy and they're low risk compared to starting a business from scratch with no experience and doing everything by trial and error. This is a way to get started. Walton and the Home Improvement, Home Depot founders did it this way. They started here with a successful business, and then they just copied it in their own company. So funding. So how can you do the funding? How do you get the capital to be able to get started? Obviously, if you have personal funds, friends and family, or if you have your own personal savings, you can get an SBA loan. You can do a private placement. So I would encourage everyone to look up private placement. Not too many people, for whatever reason, not too many people have heard about a private placement. Look this up online. It is a way to raise capital without regulatory scrutiny. It's perfectly legal. Private placements are an established legal way to raise capital. For some reason, a lot of people are unfamiliar with this, but look this up online. It's another way to raise money. SBA loan is another choice. But the bottom line is we're trying to get into a business that will succeed. A successful business is easy and it's low risk. A business you start from scratch with no operational plan, with no history of success, is hard and it's very high risk. And because you've got money on the line, you might as well do it this way. Start with the E-Myth, buy a franchise, and then you can decide if you want to start your own business. Because it's true that if you're a franchisee, you have to pay royalties to the parent company of that franchisee concept. And you avoid that. Walton was a Ben Franklin franchisee paying royalties to the head company of Ben Franklin. And once he started his own company, Walmart, he no longer had to pay the royalties. So he kept more of the money. But you should be patient with yourself, and especially if you're new, and give yourself time to learn the ropes. Having a franchise business, they really will help you a lot to different degrees. One of the things you should do when you join an online franchisee, when you use franchisee groups online to learn about the different options, is you should ask them which franchisors, which parent companies do a better job than others at getting at supporting their franchisees. Because some of them are kind of hit or miss. Just a personal example. In the family members who were buying franchise restaurants when I was growing up, at one point the parent company was bought out by a new owner. And within a year, a large portion of the franchisees had filed a class action suit against the new owner of the parent company because they were being mistreated. So franchising is not perfect. And that's why if you join online franchisee groups, you can ask, how well does the parent company treat franchisees? And if they're not treating franchisees well, there's a lot of choices out there. You don't have to go with the franchisee that's not operated well. They should be taking care of their franchisees because that's their business. They're collecting royalties from them. If they mistreat the franchised units owners, it hurts their own company. It hurts their reputation and their royalties. Subway, in the past, Subway developed a reputation for not treating their franchisees very well either. I don't know if that's history now, if they've fixed that, but it's worth looking into that. So SBA loan, private placement for funding, or personal funds. The cool thing about going into debt or raising capital for a franchise is, as long as you do your research, 6 months of research, talking to everybody that you can before you buy, as long as you do the research, taking out money to buy a franchise, it's pretty darn safe. It's a pretty good, but again, for some of these businesses, you've got to be in an upscale strip mall, not an average strip mall either. Pay the higher rent for an upscale strip mall, or you don't want to locate in a strip mall that's going to be torn down. For example, if it's an older strip mall, usually those get torn down and rebuilt, and then your business is gone, for a certain length of time. You should try to locate in an upscale strip mall. So as a cautionary tale about franchising, McDonald's is a very strong franchise to own. Very strong. We all know that, right? Lots of history of success. And each store makes a lot of money, usually. In San Jose, California, my wife and I were living there. There was a McDonald's right next to a large enrollment university. The McDonald's failed. And the reason that McDonald's there failed, it was because the environment and the local environment where it was located and the city policies that were in place in San Jose led to that McDonald's demise. So I don't want to get political. I'm not going to get political here. But in San Jose, California, next to a very large enrollment university, you would think that would be the ideal place to locate a McDonald's. And it was for a while. Because every once in a while, I don't eat at McDonald's very often, but we would go there every once in a while, and it was always usually in pretty good shape. And then things changed in the local environment. Things changed in the way the city was being operated. And it closed its doors, a McDonald's, right next to a large enrollment university. It was so that's a cautionary tale. So the reason I wanted to mention this is, even if you do your due diligence and you talk to a lot of franchisees and you think you have found the right franchise opportunity, make sure to understand the environment you're operating in. Talk to other business owners in that area as a starting point, because the business owners know what's going on. They're on the ground interfacing with the city regulations, with the local environment. If you hear one owner complain about city conditions, the way they're treated by the city and or the local environment, even if you talk to 20 owners and one of them complains about it, tread lightly and try to find a place where nobody complains and everybody says it's a great place to operate in, and the city is business-minded and supports all businesses. If you have any questions about any of this, I just wanted to sort of follow up what I talked about in yesterday's video about buying a business. In this case, this is another avenue. Read the E-Myth, learn about how successful businesses work, and then you can start with the franchise, and the chance of succeeding, it's just much higher, as long as you do your research before you buy. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you have any, just put those in the comments. I'll try to get to those. I want to thank everybody for watching, and have a great day.